Hey, I'm back. I'm back with my first episode. I'm very excited. The first point in the management tips section of the 50 management tips in 60 days is going to be creating a leadership vision. We're going to talk today about how we create a vision that will help us lead ourselves to the future. When we talk about leadership vision, we are talking about an inertia. I mean, you really cannot talk about what is going to happen tomorrow until and unless you have thought about what has happened with us. Life is based on things that we do, actions that we take, reactions that we give. Now, when we talk about actions and reactions, it is all dependent on how we have been groomed. It's all about the experience and exposure. Suppose, for an example, if somebody comes and asks me for a book and says that he's going to return a book to me in the next 24 hours or 48 hours or a week, what do you think I'm going to do? Am I going to give him the book to read, take home? And I think not. I'm sorry for being selfish, but that's what my experience has been. One thing that never comes back to you is a book. Not that somebody wants to steal a book. Now what has happened is, this experience and exposure that we have gone through in our lives has taken shape today, and our actions and reactions are dependent on those. There are models I can talk about, there are theories that I can talk about, but I do not want to complicate things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and talk about the doables. Now, there is another thing that I want you guys who are listening to me to actually write down. Is a phrase that I use very often, which I made for myself, which I've been practicing for ages now. And I think if I share this with you, this is going to be useful for you too. It's called think on paper. Write this down. Think on paper. When I say think on paper, what I'm trying to tell you is, if you are thinking about something, if you are working on something, if you are planning something, don't just leave it here. Put it on a paper. Write it down. This will help you in two ways. One, this is going to help you remember and plan properly. And the second thing that is going to happen is, this is going to take the stress out of you. Since you don't have to remember anything. Say for an example, you've got 4 things to do or 6 things to do tomorrow, or long pending things plus things to do tomorrow, so total of about 10 things. And you've been thinking that, okay, I've got to get up in the morning and the first thing that I need to do is to make this call to so, and then this call to so and who, and then I need to leave home by 9 o'clock and I need to reach that place by 10:15. I have an appointment and I got to speak to him about these things, for which these are the agendas that I will put forward on the table. Now, do you think it's easy? I don't think it's easy to remember all of that. There is a lot to remember. First, what to do after what next, and the second most important thing is the micro points which probably you would like to include in a meeting or in a discussion, and so on and so forth. What best could be than writing them down the previous evening, sitting quietly for half an hour or 15 minutes maybe, jot them down in a piece of paper in a white sheet and fold it up and put it in your pocket. So that when you wake up in the morning next day, you are free of all the thoughts and you are not really stressed out having to remember everything all through the night. All you have to do is get up in the morning and take out that piece of paper, read what's there, and then plan the day. Even before you enter the meeting, all you have to do is to read through, or in fact, you can just open a piece of paper and sit for a meeting. So think on paper. So all these 50 episodes that I'm going to post, management tips, these 50 episodes will have to, and it is a must, that you write them down. It's like a dream book. Let me tell you, this is not only what I am telling you. That book might and should contain things that you accept, things that you believe, things that you have found out for yourself, things that you will learn from others, from yourself, and from your environment, from your experiences and exposures. So, coming back to the point, creating a leadership vision for yourself. First and foremost is you need to clarify and refine your leadership vision. Clarifying means, what kind of a leader do you think you are? And when I say leadership, I'm not talking about being the leader of a team, being the leader of a gang, being the manager, nothing. It's just about leading yourself. What kind of a person do you wish to become? What kind of a person do you see yourself as? What kind of a person means, I'll give you my example. I wish to be somebody who people will look up to. And if I would make a mistake, not having been able to do that, I will rectify. I will refine. I'll clarify. No problem there. But it's important to find out who you wish to be in your life. I wish people say thank you. I wish people remember me through my work. Coming to point number 2. Articulate your values. Articulate your values. Understand who you are. Understand what your elders must have wanted you to be. Understand what you are made up of. Understand the values and re-examine your goals for the future. Find out for yourself, what have you just written when you have written your leadership vision? What are your goals? In order to become that, what do you need to be? So these are sub-points of what you have already written. These are sub-points of how you can go there. What kind of a person will be? Say for example, for me, if I want people to look up to me, I need to become a person who is a certain kind. I need to become a special person. So I will need to gain knowledge. I'll need to be justified. I'll need to be... There are many things that I will not be able to. And when I find out, I write them down and they become the goals for the future. So what I have done now, number 2, is I have articulated and redefined the goals for my future. Point number 3. Identify 4, 5 or 6, it doesn't matter if you have 3, but very important and influencing episodes of your life. Something that has probably defined, the moments that have defined who you are today. I can give you a couple of examples. Now, I hope you're writing this down. So one moment that I remember, and when I'm talking about this, I'll start right from the beginning of my life. But then from the time I remember, something that really, I think, influenced who I am today is that time when I just passed out of my 10th standard and I was going to my 11th, and my school did not have an 11th standard. So most of my friends were going out of town. The moment we passed out of 10th standard, my father decided not to let me go out. Imagine. And we didn't have an 11th standard in our school. So he spoke to a lot of teachers, he spoke to a lot of his friends whose children were my school friends and so on and so forth, and something happened in a month or so, and then 11th and 12th standard actually started in our school, and I stayed back. I could not let go of the thought that most of my friends were going to live a free life. Those days, living a life in a hostel was not troublesome at all. It was rather something that we all looked up to. It was very important for us to, carry on to a more freer life, a free life, so-called free life, quote unquote. But today when I sit back and think, I lost my parents at an early age, pretty early age, both my mom and dad. And trust me, Today I revel the time that I spent with them by not leaving them after the 10th standard. Not only that, today when I sit back and think, I think many of the values that I carry with me today are those values that I must have earned, learnt, or I must have been taught after the 10th standard when I started gaining maturity really. Till 10th standard, it's all mom and dad, fun life, happy go lucky. But just after the 10th standard, when you start understanding things, and when you start relating to the future, and when you start studying more focused things because you would like to become somebody or something, or you would like to act as somebody in the future, you would like to take up some courses in the future, 11th and 12th standard is the time which defines the future studies. And that was the time when I probably was becoming a little more matured. And that was the time I literally was taught by my parents. The values today are the results of those 2 years. Not only my parents, there were other people I remember, the friends of my parents, my very close friends of my parents, who were instrumental in helping me learn values of life, helping me learn what is important and what is not important. So there goes my episode 1, the most influencing part. Well, after you have done this comes the next most important part. Now, this is not really the 4th point. This is actually collating all that you must have written by now after watching this video. The next thing that you need to do is to describe, or probably, for an example, draft a statement of your personal leadership vision. When I say draft a statement of your personal leadership vision, this is now based on what you have written in the last half an hour, 1 hour. So now, let us come to the next one. So not really point number 4. What we're going to do right now is we're going to collate the thought or the thought process of what we have been writing over the last half an hour, 1 hour. What you have to do right now is to draft a statement of your leadership vision based on the thoughts that must have cropped up in your mind from when you started thinking about your past till the present. Now, what is this leadership vision? This leadership vision is nothing but a compelling image of your achievable future. Now, why am I saying a compelling image of your achievable future? It is because let us not go haywire. Let us not start talking about becoming something that I actually do not relate to right now. Let us talk about doables. Let us talk about achievable targets. Your priorities will change. Your vision will change. Possibly your experience and exposure that we spoke about in the beginning will change. This image of your future will also change. No problem with that. We are dealing with today, and we are going to do and write and think about what we can do, anything in the future based on the present. That will make it achievable. So you're going to write down the same leadership vision that you had written in the beginning, again, with changes if necessary, or without changes if necessary. So while you describe to yourself the kind of leader that you want to become, also describe the major contributions that you would like to make to this world, starting from today to, for an example, to year 2030. Keep a long-term goal, keep a short-term goal. And with that, when you have jotted down where do you see yourself from the year 2020 to probably 2030, 2045, jot down what impact do you think who you become by that time is going to make to this world. How do you think you matter to this world? By the words of Swami Vivekananda, পৃথিবীতে যখন এসেছিলিস ছাপ ছেড়ে যা, which necessarily means if you have come to this world, leave a mark. And I say each and every one of you have the potential to leave that mark. Leave that one. All the best, all of you. Thank you so much. We will meet with a new episode. We will talk about newer and nicer things that will help us become more successful, groom ourselves in the future, and be